Hi everyone, Queeveen here from the comfort of my kitchen. In today's video, we are going to be taking a look at the night sky for January, concentrating on the constellations. But there are also a couple of things I want to say about this channel and how I will be posting videos going forward this year. If you are a regular viewer of my channel, you may have noticed that I haven't put up a video in Irish in a while, in a couple of months. I was putting up Irish language videos on this channel, and you can still find all of the Irish language videos that I have posted on this channel if you go back through the channel's history. However, every time that I posted a video in Irish, it caused my metrics to go down, the viewership and how often YouTube was suggesting my videos went down. So in order to continue growing this channel, where I will continue providing astronomical information about where we can see things in the sky and what is going to be visible, in order to keep this channel growing, I won't be able to post Irish language videos on this channel. Luckily, I now have a third YouTube channel, Queeveen's Content as Gaeilge, and on that YouTube channel I will be posting Irish language astronomy videos roughly once a month. I had been posting those videos on this channel, and I will continue to post at least one video a week, usually 2 videos a week on this channel going forward. However, on occasion, the second video that I post to YouTube may be on my third channel, Queeveen's Content as Gaeilge, instead of this channel, Queeveen's Content. So you won't be losing out on any content. If you didn't watch the Irish language videos, then you have nothing to worry about. But if you did watch the Irish language videos, if you enjoyed watching them, or if you would just like to support me in all of my endeavors, then you can head over to Queeveen's Content as Gaeilge. It's linked in the description. It's linked in the description of this channel, so it shouldn't be too hard to find. It is connected to this YouTube channel. You may also be wondering, that's my third YouTube channel. You may not know that I have a second YouTube channel, Queeveen's Other Content. I only have one video posted on Queeveen's Other Content, but of course I encourage you to go and take a look. Queeveen's Other Content currently deals with language creation or conlanging, but I will be dealing with world building and speculative evolution, speculative life forms, other things on that channel in the near future. So for this channel, if you enjoy watching my English language astronomy videos, nothing's really going to change. You can keep watching those videos here on this channel. If you'd like to see more of my Irish language videos, head to Queeveen's Content as Gaeilge. There will be videos there regularly, at least once a month. And if you would like to see me talk about other topics that aren't astronomy in a slightly different format, then you can head to Queeveen's Other Content, where I will be dealing with topics of that nature roughly once a month, maybe a little less frequently. So with that out of the way, we're here taking a look at the nighttime sky in January, and we're going to begin with the constellations up. So there are plenty of constellations that we can see here, but at sunset, especially viewing them from the city, we can't actually see those constellations. None of the stars in those constellations are actually visible to us. So for example, Delphinus, you may see one little star there, but it's not quite enough to work out the whole shape of the constellation. For the head of the horse here, you also can't really see any stars, not from our perspective here in the city. So the light pollution of the city is interfering with our viewing of some constellations. But here we are, not even the middle of January. We'll go forward just a little bit more. Just after sunset, we're here at just about 6:30, and we have a sky full of stars and full of constellations. I mentioned in a couple of previous videos that there is a group of stars kind of stretching across the sky here. From high in the south, we have really Andromeda high in the south, with the square of Pegasus just a little over to the southwest, and then a little over to the southeast, we have this thin shape of Perseus. The stars of those constellations are visible, even in a light polluted city. So those constellations aren't too hard to pick out. And there's some particularly famous names: Pegasus, Perseus, Andromeda. These are famous characters in Greek mythology, even if their constellations are a little less famous than the zodiacal constellations. Things like Gemini over here with Jupiter, Taurus, Aries, Pisces, Aquarius, all visible as the sun is going down. Cancer, of course, barely visible at all. We never really get to see Cancer, even in the countryside. It's a tough constellation to spot. These zodiacal constellations are some of the most famous, along with Orion just down here. And we can see two of the stars for Aries. If we take a look up towards the south, we can see those two stars next to each other, just a little east of due south. Those are the two brighter stars in the constellation Aries, the Ram. Pisces stretches across a big chunk of the sky here, but they're very faint stars, very difficult to see. And we can see Saturn there, pretty much leaving Pisces. It's going to be out of Pisces in the near future as Saturn continues its own slow journey around the sun, taking almost 30 years to get around the sun once, 30 of our years, one Saturn year, of course. So we've got a very clear view of some bright constellations down in the south. Turning back around to the north, we have the same constellations that we usually see. We have our summer triangle already going down because, of course, we're just past midwinter. We're definitely not in summer anymore. We have our plough nice and low pointing up to the North Star, and then Cassiopeia through on the other side. But there are regions of the northern sky, quite big regions, that look pretty empty if you are looking at them from the city. So bringing up our constellations again here, some of the constellations like Camelopardalis is pretty tough to see. Not many of the stars in that constellation are visible. The same here with the Lynx, also very difficult to see any of the stars in that constellation. With Draco, we can see a couple of stars. There are definitely a couple of stars visible there, but that constellation takes up a huge area of the sky where it's mainly faint stars that we're seeing. So, of course, heading out to the countryside will let us see a lot more. If we get rid of the light pollution entirely, then the sky will be swarmed with stars. We're not going to get rid of it entirely. We're just going to go to a Bortle class 2 instead of a Bortle class 1. And already the sky is so full of stars. We're already seeing much more here in terms of the constellations. Aries is a lot more visible, those stars there. We're even, I believe, you can just about make out that V shape there of Pisces that ties the fish together. You don't just have to believe me, I'll bring up the constellations, and there we go, we can just about see that shape. So of course, a V shape in the sky might not immediately make you think of a fish, or a pair of fish in this case. But if you imagine that it's two fish, I guess with their tails tied together, then you might get a better idea. That's Pisces, that kind of V shape in the sky, although it is quite tricky to see. Orion, of course, is nice and obvious, as is Taurus, or at least parts of Taurus are. Aldebaran is very clear, the Pleiades are very clear, but the horns of Taurus stretch all the way up to here. Taurus is quite a big constellation, even though the horns of Taurus are maybe less famous and the hooves of Taurus down here. We associate Taurus a lot with the Pleiades and the Hyades, but it is a bigger constellation that does stretch out on either side. Coming back to Delphinus and Equus Caput, in fact, these names might be in English. Yeah, it's there as Little Horse. We'll change those names back into Latin, which should be just down here. The native language for these constellations is Latin, really. That is the language that we use to talk about them. There we go. Aquelius, the head of the horse. So Aquelius, the little horse. Caput Equus would be just the head of the horse. And it does appear to be just a head there. But the ways that these constellations have been drawn has changed over time as well. So we can see a couple of the stars there for Aquelius. And we can clearly see the diamond shape of Delphinus. Turning back around to the north, now we do have a lot more visible in the sky. We can see a lot more of the stars here next to the plough. And coming up here, we can see a lot more of the stars in Camelopardalis. And I'll bring up the name again for these constellations. There we go. Camelopardalis. I always think of this as a camel leopard, so Camelopardalis, but it's Camelopardalis, that extra little bit, which I always tend to forget. Lynx is lynx, which is nice. Lynx is nice and easy to remember, but still a tricky constellation to spot in the sky. This is still a pretty sparse region of space where we're not seeing a lot of bright stars. The shape of Draco, however, is a lot more obvious with these stars here. So again, I'll bring up the image. And we can see that kind of curved shape for the body of Draco, and then these stars here for the head. So, although these constellations, the fainter ones, the smaller ones, can be pretty tricky to spot, the major ones, the big ones, the famous ones, they're in fantastic positions at this time of the year. Orion and Gemini over towards the east-southeast are going to be with us for pretty much the entire night. And of course, with Jupiter coming up to opposition on the 10th, if Jupiter is with us all night long, then it means this region of the sky is going to be with us all night long, crossing from the east over to the west. So we have loads of time to look for those constellations in the sky. Constellations like Pegasus with the square here and coming over to Perseus through Andromeda. Down here, this little triangle as well is Triangulum. It should be. I'll double check. Indeed it is. That's the triangle of Triangulum. They're all going to be nice and easy to see as the sun goes down. And importantly, still easy to see even if you are in a city like Cork. If you are in a slightly brighter city, and this Bartle Class 8 is what's considered a city sky, well, you can see that makes a pretty big difference. We've still got Saturn, we've still got Jupiter, we've still got Pollux and Castor in Gemini, we've still got Capella here in Auriga, even though we're missing other parts of the Pentagon. The shapes of Perseus, Cassiopeia and Pegasus, well, they're practically invisible under this level of light pollution. But thankfully, we do know where they are. You might just barely be catching a little bit of Auriga here. This star in Auriga is the bottom of Auriga and the top of Taurus, so we can see Aldebaran there. Even though we're missing the rest of the Hyades, even though we're missing the Pleiades, they are all still there. It is just that little bit harder to catch. So I hope that you get a chance to see some of those constellations under at least reasonably good conditions, even conditions just as good as a city in Cork. If you are living in a bigger city, even this can be quite a big improvement. I hope that you continue to enjoy this channel over the coming year, and thank you so much for bringing me to 600 subscribers. Hopefully that will continue to grow over the course of the year as well. And if you're interested in my other content, you can check out Caoimhín's content Os Gaeilge, as well as Caoimhín's other content here on YouTube. I do also have an Instagram account also under Caoimhín's content, and as always you can head to my website caoimhinscontent.ie to read basically anything I talk about in any of my videos. Yet again, I hope that you enjoyed this video, and hopefully I'll see you back here next time.